Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And she's actually going to sit in on a Dungeons and Dragons video.
I am.
Going to try not to bore you. We're going to talk about the decline in Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to talk about the new 2024 edition and how it doesn't seem to be resonating with players. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this scene, right? And I've been paying attention to the D&D scene since we kind of got roped into it a couple of years ago. And all these channels, everybody's quitting. Like
you sent me a video where they were talking about how they're quitting or they're pivoting to something else, probably because they're being, if you have over so many subscribers, you get a handler, okay, at YouTube. And the handlers are probably telling them, you're going to pivot your content, you know?
They have. Actually, there was one video I was watching where they literally told them, like, nobody's interested in D&D videos anymore, so you have to go do something else. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole thing. We had, like, this cottage industry of D&D videos. And a lot of people are trying to do, like, mental gymnastics to try to figure out, like, what is going on. And the truth of it is, I think people, normies especially, are losing interest in D&D.
Well, I think it's that, and I think the people that took it over are losing interest, or it's starting to cost more money and they don't want to do it, or they don't like the type of videos these people are putting out because not what they want to hear.
Yeah, because we had a whole boom with, I guess I call them like the Hollywood geeks. You had the, Felicia Days and the Matt Mercers.
Like Felicia Day, I'm sorry.
And Matt Mercer's okay though, but
I don't mind him, but I don't like Felicia Day.
They had a certain audience. They're basically people that were kind of, glomming onto the trend. Like, oh, look at me. I'm a geek girl. I play D&D. Look at me. I've got a D20 purse. I've never played the game before. But
Well, they literally were turning D&D into a lifestyle brand. Like, you said that as a joke. But they were making clothing and stuff that was Dungeons and Dragons themed to try to sell it to people as a lifestyle brand.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this because I don't think it's looking too good. I think the hobby is going to go back underground to some degree.
A lot of people are probably happy about.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are happy about. I think that a lot of even people that were fans of 5e, from what I understand, they are not impressed with the handbook, the player's handbook, Monsters Manual, all these stupid changes. I had one guy watch this video, and he said what did it for him were the freaking orcs, turning the orcs into people.
Are you allowed to say that?
Oh my God. It was just beyond ridiculous. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty progressive, but this orc thing, this is ridiculous.
Well, we have the orcs, you can't, and then the drow. And then we have the whole thing with, wasn't the thing with witchcraft? You couldn't do witchcraft because it was going to insult people that did, that were witches and stuff.
So what happened was once you set the precedent that we are going to try to make D&D as inclusive as possible, right? Then it was just open season. Every grievance, every microaggression, everything that offended anybody, all of a sudden, all these people started coming out of the woodwork, and they went and they hired, and we've covered this extensively. They went out and hired sensitivity readers to go through. They were taking terms like slave out of
D&D. Yeah. And then, they took certain characters out, or certain narratives out, and then changed it. Oh, and then they had that famous cover. They turned around and made it a woman,
Right.
And then they keep doing this kind of crap. And then instead of getting like campaigns that you wanted and stuff, you got like, well, we're going to do college and we're going to do coffee shops.
We're going to do prom. I know, right? So people were kind of like, it was funny. I was watching a couple of these videos and they were kind of like pointing the blame at each other. Like, why is D&D falling off? Well, it's because these people are too clickbaity. And they're like, no, it's because the algorithm doesn't like it. And it's like, no, I'll tell you, it really is very, very simple. Understanding YouTube is very, very simple. If there's no audience for the content you're producing, YouTube doesn't recommend it because nobody's looking for it.
No. And I'm sure they were told to pivot.
Yeah, they probably were. They're probably looking at the numbers and they're like, hey guys, yeah, you had about a decade where people were actually into D&D and tabletop and stuff, and now they're simply not into it anymore. And if you would like to continue to do the YouTube thing, you're going to have some other kind of content because literally nobody is looking for it, which tells me that nobody's interested.
I think the celebrity stuff picked it up, and then Stranger Things. And then I think during the pandemic, people were playing games with their friends online or, playing the games and stuff so that they could still have communication with people. And then you have a group of people that, for all of them screaming about gatekeeping, everybody was always allowed to play. Until they came on board, then only certain people were allowed to play, and everybody else was told they weren't allowed to be there because they were terrible people. And then I think people just got tired of it. And then you
Yeah.
kept giving them subpar shit like the coffee shop, module or whatever. And people are like, this is stupid.
Oh, Strixhaven. Yeah. Strixhaven.
I'm not allowed to have orcs now. They're racist, drow racist, everything's racist, everything's, microaggression. And honestly, they kept raising the prices on things and they kept getting more and more expensive for like some of the stuff. And they're probably just like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'll just go play with my friends. I won't, I'll find something new to play.
So let's we're gonna talk about more. We are like 5 minutes into the video already,
sorry.
but that's okay. Before we get into it any further, guys, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
If you're looking for notifications, you're not getting notifications for our videos. We do talk about a lot of different things. Obviously, we don't talk about D&D as much because nobody cares, but they do care about failing. That's what they're looking for. Go out to clownfishtv.substack.com. So before we get into it, we start talking numbers and stuff. I do have to give a shout out to the late, great Ernie Gygax, who passed earlier this week. After he had a number of health problems, and I followed him on Facebook, and it was heartbreaking to watch. I actually got to talk to Ernie for about 2.5 hours.
I don't know. I was there for one of the times that he was more than once, because I know.
Oh, maybe we
Squid
did talk
King?
to him. Yeah, Squid King was there
once, and I
think.
was there once.
He didn't say anything. He just kind of listened. He wasn't quite understanding like just how big of a deal it was to be able to talk to Ernie. I mean, this is the son of Gary Gygax, one of his sons, and he was there at the very beginning, along with Robert Kuntz, who we've had on the podcast. And it's just not the same game that it was, right? And I mean, I think that's a lot of it. For a lot of people, it's just like the whatever spark there was at the beginning of D&D, going through AD&D, going through the 80s, 90s, like that has long since been, unfortunately, been extinguished. But he was a great guy. He was a great guy to talk to. Definitely thoughts and prayers with his family during this difficult time, and we lost him too soon. We did, and it just feels. I mean, in some ways, it just feels like the hobby is kind of moving on, even beyond Wizards of the Coast, who treated like Gygaxes very, very poorly. By the way, I'm not happy about that. But it does feel like the hobby is kind of moving on. Like people are still gaming. They're just not broadcasting it, I think, on social media.
Well, I think people are starting to play other things too. When the OGL thing happened too, I think you lost a lot of people then as well.
That a lot of people look at the OGL. For those of you who don't know what the OGL thing is, it was the open gaming license, which Wizards had for years, and you basically could make your own content. You could even sell your own homebrew content. And Hasbro decided they wanted to make more money, so they were going to start, working out these really draconian licensing deals with people because they wanted a cut of it. And so then what happened was like the biggest cash cow, or the biggest, I don't know, it wasn't really a cash cow, but the biggest endorsement that they had was Critical Role. And then Critical Role's like, you know what, we're not even going to use your system anymore. We're going to make our own. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
And then the new rules.
Yeah, the new rules, which I'm trying to get some numbers on the rules, and it's actually it's very, very hard to do because they're not being very forthcoming. But I do know.
Well, that tells you all you need to know right there. If it was winning, they'd be saying so.
Because apparently, the 2024 Player's Handbook set records for being at least according to Hasbro, set records for being the fastest selling D&D product ever, but. According to ICV2, and I think, they got from Stephen Glicker on Roll for Combat, BookScan said they only sold 3,700 copies of it.
Yeah, so either D&D stuff never sold very well, and that was a lie, or they were lying about it being the fastest selling D&D thing.
Right. I mean, does that seem incredibly low? Yeah, I think that's incredibly low. But I think that it's a pretty good indicator that the book is not as popular as they were hoping for. Mm-mm. It's not selling like 100,000 copies or whatever.
Well, you have your audience leaving. What did you expect?
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, you know what? 5e still works. You know what? Second edition still works. You know what? My basic set from 1983, it still works. I don't have to. And a lot of people, I'm going to be honest, and this isn't to rant about it or shame people or whatever, but a lot of people, if they're not playing OSR, or they don't have, the old books or whatever, stealing the PDFs. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people are
that's
just like, I got the handbook right here in PDF. I went out and bought myself, $5 set of dice, and that's it.
right. A lot of people, for a lot of people, that's all they can afford. Now, they said of those copies, it did mention, though, that 3,000 limited edition copies were taken to Gen Con, but all of them sold out. So they said that that would only leave 700 or so in the market. So I do think that probably the number was higher than that number.
Right.
Overall, so that doesn't seem like it's correct. So I think it probably was higher, but I don't think it was a lot higher.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, look, I mean, that seems very, very low. And I know that number has been kicked around a few times, but there are some other things that, at least from where I'm sitting, seem to indicate this thing has not been a slam dunk. So one is going out to Amazon, and I'm looking at the number of reviews. And now this has been out since last year, and it's only got 1,000 reviews. And that's the Player's Handbook. The Dungeon Master's Guide only has 574 reviews.
Yeah.
Isn't that
But
weird?
that would indicate there was at least 1,000 people who have it. So that would also indicate that the numbers are higher.
And I don't know if Amazon's tracked, or, you know what I'm saying? It's really hard to figure out. And you have to go by WotC. But if they were selling a ton of these books, they'd be out there bragging about it. Absolutely.
I'm sure it's higher than the number they gave, but I don't think it's like I don't think it legitimately was one of the best selling D&D things ever.
No, fastest selling, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And are they counting those 3,000 copies they sold at
I'm
Gen
sure they
Con
are.
as like, oh my God, guys, we sold out in like an hour. That's the fastest selling D&D product ever. There it is, guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking they're doing.
I mean, the Monster Manual, 67 review. I mean, it just came out not too long ago, but it's still like for a D&D, you know what I'm saying? It seems a little weird that there's not a ton of reviews on there. I've seen independent comic books and stuff get more reviews. It's just a gut feeling, I guess, on it. Now this thing has come up a couple times. I know Elvin Made In, who I think they're having health problems right now, so I hope that they're doing okay. I know they've been off of X for a couple of days now. But they said, Wizards of the Coast just said that D&D 2024 is the best-selling D&D product ever. They also said that you created more than 3.6 million characters using the 2024 core rules on D&D Beyond, I guess. They said in the very same post, they claim that there are 19 million users on D&D Beyond. And they said, if we assume that every one of the 3.6 million characters created were by one person, that means only 19% of D&D Beyond users created characters using the new rules. But usually one person creates more than one character. How many average characters does one person have? 3. Let's go with 3. That means only 6% of D&D Beyond users have bought the 2024 rule set. Can they really call it a success if they fail to convince their audience to move to the new edition? So,
two people are just sticking with what they know and the old stuff.
Yeah, and they're bringing it up on Reddit too. They said it's just like, is this proof that it's failing? Because 3 million new characters, 19 million users, that means people aren't creating new characters with the rule set. Because why would you? If you, I mean, this is the thing that's kind of frustrating with, I guess, D&D is, they always did revisions back when I gamed heavily in the 80s and 90s. But when they did a revision, they had a reason for it, right? They were trying, like AD&D, when they went to second edition, they were trying to, streamline it, make it a little more accessible. And it didn't require really that you go out and buy everything anyway, because you could always adapt the first edition stuff to second edition, right? And now they're just kind of like, I guess there's some back and forth or whatever, but I think for a number of reasons, I just think that people are over it. I think we had peak D&D, or at least Hasbro D&D. I think people are still playing D&D. I just don't think they're playing the new D&D. A lot of them, I know the hardcore players are still using their old books from back in the day, or they're doing homebrew. Or they're moving on, like you said, they're moving on to new systems. But Hasbro's going to be in for a rude awakening, I think, here pretty soon, because they were going to try to turn D&D into like a shitty mobile app and a gambling app and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't think people want it.
They still are going to probably try that crap, but yeah.
I said, so why does Hasbro keep focusing on the big numbers instead of their actual subscriber count? In their investor earnings call, they keep referring to how many registered users they have and user count.
Doesn't mean everybody's using it, though.
Yeah. That's what has people wondering, especially with that low number of created 2024 characters. That means in the 5 months since the 2024 player handbook came out, only 3 million users max, not subscribers, users have made a new character. And that's if we're going to ignore people making multiple ones to see how different classes come out. Most people do.
Yeah, most people do.
But they said, yeah, because public company, bigger numbers impress stupid shareholders, even if those numbers are totally meaningless. Yeah, because they're going to be like, millions of people are playing our new Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to license it out to the gambling companies and to whatever, and we're going to, do Netflix deals, and we're going to because that's all they care about. And when it's not useful, they'll just forget all about D&D, and now they're all into Magic the Gathering, which has become the trading card version of Fortnite, because it's all like freaking mashups with characters that have nothing to do with. I can't wait for like the Smurfs Magic the Gathering set if they don't have it already.
Well, there's a Spider-Man one.
Like, what the hell is this game even? I'm waiting for them to do it with D&D too, and just be like, do you ever want to play as Ariana Grande and D&D? Well, here's the rule book. Here's the wicked D&D mashup. I could totally see them doing
Spider-Man for sure.
Oh my God, it's so bad. But yeah, they said, it's all about just basically hosing the investors, right? And hanging on another day. And I don't know. But we always have the memories, right? We always have our old books, and you can play however you want to play. You don't have to play the new stuff. Don't have to play Hasbro D&D or WotC. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I just thought it was very interesting that almost all of the channels I have watched in the past have put out a video talking about the utter state of D&D YouTube and the interest in the hobby. And they're all negative. Like, I don't know. They're very seldom. And some of these guys were actually invited to Wizards Hoedown when they were trying to do damage control for the OGL. And it just all collapsed. And I think that was the biggest catalyst was the OGL. But
I noticed they didn't invite you to the Hoedown.
No, they did not invite me to the Hoedown. They wouldn't ask too many questions. There were other people out there that actually have really big, just dedicated channels to gaming, and they were not asked because they would have asked too many questions. So,
just consume and take what we tell you, and push the narrative. The end.
Pretty much. Are we going to wrap this one up? I think we need to wrap it up. All right, guys. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.